The Magical Garden Party. It was a warm summer evening when little Tom, an adventurous boy with tousled brown hair and curious eyes, set off on one of his daily walks through the fields and woods near his home. Tom loved nature and spent hours observing animals, collecting bugs, and inventing fantastic stories in his mind. On this special evening, Tom felt a strange excitement in the air. It was as if the forest was calling to him, a soft whisper telling him that a special adventure awaited. He followed this whisper, which led him deeper and deeper into the forest until he finally stood before an old, gnarled oak tree. This oak was different from all the other trees Tom had seen. Its trunk was thick and decorated with strange patterns that glittered in the twilight. As he admired the oak, Tom noticed a faint, shimmering light coming from a gap between the tree's roots. His curiosity was piqued, and he knelt down to get a closer look. To his surprise, he found a small, glittering path that wound like a tunnel into the ground. Without hesitation, he crawled inside, and the path led him deeper and deeper until he suddenly stepped into a breathtaking garden. The garden was like a fairy tale. Flowers bloomed everywhere in the brightest colors, and the air was filled with sweet fragrances. Small streams meandered through the terrain, and tiny lights floated in the air like little stars fallen from the sky. Fairies were everywhere, tiny, enchanting beings with shimmering wings and bright eyes, flitting about like dragonflies. "Welcome, Tom," said a fairy with a voice that sounded like bells. She was only as big as Tom's hand, but her presence was majestic. "We have been expecting you." Tom was amazed. "You were expecting me?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," replied the fairy. "Once a year, we hold a grand garden party, and this year you are our special guest. I am Florinda, the queen of the fairies." Florinda led Tom further into the garden. Everywhere were tables laden with the most delicious treats Tom had ever seen: colorful fruits, sweet honey cakes, and sparkling drinks that glowed with all the colors of the rainbow. The fairies danced and laughed, their movements as light and graceful as the wind. Tom felt like he was in a dream. The fairies invited him to dance with them, and soon he was moving with them to the rhythm of magical music played by invisible instruments. The air was filled with melodies that went straight to the heart and left a feeling of joy and wonder. During the party, the fairies told Tom stories about the enchanted garden. They explained that each flower and tree had its own story, which only those who believed in magic could hear. Tom listened, fascinated, to the tales of adventures and wonders, hidden treasures, and brave heroes. "Do you see this flower?" asked a fairy named Leora, pointing to a bright blue blossom. "It's called Tears of Joy, and its petals glow especially bright when someone near it is happy." Tom was impressed. "And that tree over there?" he asked, pointing to a large, ancient tree with golden leaves. "That's the wisdom tree," explained Florinda. "Its leaves contain the knowledge of 1,000 years. If you sit beneath it and listen, you can find answers to all your questions." The night flew by. Tom played games with the fairies, swung on swings made of flower vines, and marveled at the fireworks made of fireflies that lit up the sky. He felt light and happy, as if all the world's worries had fallen away. Around midnight, when the stars in the sky shone especially bright, all the fairies gathered around a large, shimmering amulet floating in the center of the garden. Florinda took Tom's hand and led him to the amulet. "This amulet is the heart of our garden," she said. "It preserves the magic and peace in our world. Tonight, we want to give you something special." Florinda took a small, glittering stone from the amulet and gave it to Tom. "Keep this stone well," she said. "It will always remind you of this night and show you that magic is everywhere around us if you only believe in it." Tom took the stone reverently. "Thank you, Florinda," he said softly. "I will always carry it with me." As the first rays of the morning sun lit up the sky, Tom and the fairies knew it was time to say goodbye. With one last look at the magical garden, Tom made his way home. He felt happy and fulfilled, knowing that he had experienced something very special. When he crawled through the secret entrance back into the world of humans, the path disappeared behind him, and the old oak tree once again looked like an ordinary tree. But Tom knew better. From that day on, he viewed the world with different eyes, always searching for the little wonders and magical moments that made life so special. He told no one about his adventure because he knew it was his own secret miracle. Every night, when Tom went to bed, he held the glittering stone in his hand and remembered the magical garden party and the joyful fairies who had shown him that magic is everywhere around us. And with that thought, he fell asleep with a smile on his lips and a heart full of joy.